Today we're going to be using green, white, and red and Super Sculpey to make 5 different Santa heads. These are the tools we'll be using: an X-Acto knife, a needle tool, a paintbrush, and knitting needles, and a garlic press. Now these are very basic Santa heads, and I'm going to show you how to start with the basic round head and make 5 different versions, and I think it's going to be fun. And I use Sculpey 3 and Super Sculpey because it's just easier on my arthritic hands. Now here's the thing, don't flatten your heads, make them nice and round. They just don't look right if you make them flat as a pancake. Now I work on 3x4, 3x5, 3x3 pieces of paper, whatever size you want. I usually work on a 3x3 piece of paper because I keep the ornament within that size, and I always package my ornaments in a 3x3 gift box. Now the different hats we just roll out with the red clay. Now this was just a log. We rolled out a log and we're going to bend it a little bit and put it right over the Santa head. Now what I'm going to be doing is just making the hats first, and then we'll move on. Now if you make these in quantity, the best way to do is do like 5 at a time. That way you don't have to wash your hands as often between colors. This head was rolled out into a triangle shape, flattened a little bit, and then we just put it on top of the head. Be sure to press it on. And we're going to make a traditional Santa, kind of a shabby chic Victorian style Santa, a country Santa, and I think that's it. But that's going to be the 3 different kinds of Santas we'll be making today. But each one will have a different beard. So you can see you can really be flexible with what you make with the clay. And this one I've kind of rolled out, made it a little thin because we're going to be bending the top down on this one. Now we're going to start making the beards. Roll a nice fat log and bend it up into kind of a U shape, almost like putting a fake beard on at Halloween. Just press it on there. Make sure you press it on because you want those 2 clays to stick together. Now for this beard I used the end of a, well no, actually I didn't. I take that back. I'm just kind of attaching it with the end of the paintbrush. I actually am going to use the needle tool for this beard. Oh, I take that back too. I didn't use the needle tool. I used the knitting needle because it's a little bit fatter than the needle tool. The needle tool may have been just a little bit too thin for this. And always start in the middle and work your way out, because that way you get a nice balance and it doesn't look strange when you're done. Kind of like fanning out. And don't press too hard. You don't want to press through and make a hole. Now you roll a log and you put that on for the hat band. Press it down nice and smooth. Smooth it out. I don't mind fingerprints on my ornaments. A lot of people seem to like them, but you know, if you don't like them, just smooth them out with your fingers. Now we're going to make the mustache. And that's what we call a teardrop shape. Very easy to do. And when you roll it, just put pressure on one side of the ball and it will roll out like that, just like when you do the larger pieces. This is a very easy ornament to make. If you want to make an ornament with your kids, this is one that's very suitable for kids to make. That I think they'll have a good time making it, and they'll have good results. Now this will be the ball of the hat. Now when I do craft shows, I personalized ornaments, and on this particular ornament I would put the name on the headband, and the year would go into the ball of the cap. Well, the brim of the hat, not the headband. Now this one is going to be the country ornament. So you just kind of shape the beard the way you want and make it look like, you know, almost like it's just rough cut wood. Just kind of give it a little odd texture there, like you see. And although I didn't antique this one, you can put an antiquing finish on this when you're done and make it look old. And that's after it's been baked and painted. That's when you apply that. And we will be doing that in a future tutorial. And we're not going to do anything else with his mustache, just kind of leave it like that. Make it nice and long and have it kind of drooping down like that, like an old country Santa. Now this is going to be the Victorian shabby chic Santa. He's going to have no hat. He's going to have a garland on his head, and we're going to mix the clay. We're going to mix a little bit of red clay with white to make pink, and a little bit of green clay with white to make a pastel green. And now for this one, you're going to use the end of your paintbrush to put the texture in his beard. Just another way to make a beard on a Santa. And start at the bottom and work your way up. Always start at the bottom with this technique. Now I'm going to texture his mustache with the end of the paintbrush, but you know, you can leave the mustache plain, or you can use the needle tool to give it a little different effect, make it stand out a little more. Because I realize it didn't really see, I think I should have left it like that. I think it didn't really stand out much when I did this. So you might want to just leave it or use the needle tool. I kind of blended that in. This is a technique I don't use too often. I mean, it looks all right, but it's another way to make a beard. You roll out your logs in different lengths. The one in the middle is a little bit longer, then you do one on either side about the same length, and you work your way up. You'll see in the video. And it's good to learn these basic Santa head techniques and how to make them, because when we do the full-size Santas, the full-bodied ones, you'll kind of have a knowledge of how to make the beards and how to do the heads, and it'll make it a little easier. Now flatten it out and just loosely twist it. You don't want to twist it too tight, although I should have, in hindsight, I should have twisted this one a little bit tighter, but that's all right. You know, mistakes are made. Don't worry about them. The nice thing about clay is if you catch your mistake in time, you can just take the clay off and redo it. Many times if you're just learning how to use the clay and learning different ways to roll it and shape it, just use Super Sculpey and practice. I think that's a great way to learn, because if you don't like what you did, you can just smush it together and start all over again, and you don't have to worry about mixing different colors together. And I really would advise beginners to start, just do everything with Super Sculpey, just practice. Now you can see already I made that center one a little too big, but we're going to put another layer over that, so it'll be all right. This is a technique you can use to make hair on little girls, or if you're making a unicorn or a horse, this will make a nice mane and a nice tail. All different ways to use this. And when you're working with the colored clay, the red clay really comes off on your hands, and the black clay does also, and sometimes the green. But when you're switching between colors, always make sure you wash your hands and get all that clay off. You don't want to get specks of red into your Santa's white beard. And I find for me, I use hand lotion. I put the hand lotion on, and then I wipe it off with a paper towel, and then I'll wash my hands with Dawn or soap and water. And the hand lotion really takes it off quite well. And I keep my fingernails very short, because you'll find that the clay will go under your fingernails, or if they're too long, you can make some dents in your clay, and you really don't want to do that. And as you can see, making these ornaments is basically a layering process. You start from the bottom up and just add layers. I have to critique myself. I think I should have put another little row of clay for the beard on the right-hand side there, but that's all right. Now again, I'm doing the mustache on this one like this, but you can do the mustache any way you like. See that little dent I made with my fingernail, and I just smoothed it out. Now this one we're going to use the garlic press. I have garlic presses, several of them, and I dedicate each one to a certain color, and this is the one that does white clay. And I have one for black and green, and the green one is the one I use the most for making garlands or grass or whatever. But you know, I also have a red one for red hair, then I have one yellow for yellow hair, and brown if I want to make brown hair. But my best one is the green one, and I would suggest if you get a garlic press, you can find them in the kitchen gadget department of any department store, Walmart, Kmart, whatever. Don't get the one that has the little removable thing in, I don't know what you call it, but in there it comes out so you can clean it. Get one that's like all one piece and with small holes. Now if you get one like the one I have there, that to me that's my favorite, but you know, you have to find out for yourself which one you're comfortable with. But a garlic press is really a good tool to have when you're working with clay, and it's not expensive. But just don't get one with giant holes. It just won't work. Now you see, if you keep your ornament on a certain size sheet of paper, as I said before, you can keep it within the size limit that you want. My green garlic press, I used it so much that the hinge between the two handles broke off, and I had to put a piece of wire through. And I've had most of these garlic presses for over 20 years now, and I just really like them that much. If you have to clean them, they're not hard to clean. But for me, what I do is I just kind of scrape them out after the use. And oh, here I am doing the mustache. It's really just take a little bit. Now you see, you don't press as much clay out to do the mustache. You just press a little bit out. But as I was saying, to clean the garlic press, just kind of scrape out the clay, and you can just leave it. If you're going to dedicate it to one color, just leave it. And the next time you want to use it, just take a little bit of scrap clay of whatever color is in your garlic press and squeeze it through, and that'll just get you going again with your fresh clay. Or just poke the holes clean with your needle tool or a knitting tool or even a toothpick. I've made many, many, many Santa heads over the years. Now this is the brim of the hat. The brim of the hat is the same for almost all of them. Okay. Now, I want to say something about conditioning your clay. Make sure you condition your clay, or else it's not going to move the way you want it to. Like if your clay is not conditioned properly, if you bend it down the way I just did, it might crack. So make sure your clay is well conditioned and pliable. Oops. Now our country Santa's going to get a different kind of nose. He's not going to get the round little nose. He's going to get kind of a long nose. Just press it on. There you go. The Santa's going to get a round nose, and you don't want to make it too big. Sometimes I find myself making the nose too big and I have to take it off, like I just did right there. So this one has been a very, very popular ornament for me over the past 40 plus years. And I also make this one as a pin. And many times I'll go to a craft show and people from the previous year will come by and show me that they're wearing the pin. It looks really nice as a pin. It's also the one I make when I do classes with kids, and they love making that one. And so everybody's nose is done, I think. All right. Now here's the green garlic press I was telling you about with the wire where the hinge is supposed to be, but it works. It's worked like that for more than 20 years. And we're just going to squeeze a little bit of the clay through, and this is going to go on the side of his hat. Just a little embellishment. And you know, if you don't want to put the embellishments on or the holly leaves with the berries, you don't have to. You can leave them just plain. I always like to have a little bit of greenery on my Santa head ornaments. But you know, that's all up to your taste. If you don't want to put it there, you don't have to. Now, as I said before, we're going to mix a little bit of white. Oh, we're going to do the candy cane first. So you roll a rope of red, a rope of white, squeeze them together. Make sure they're squeezed together. And then twist them. And then after you've twisted them, roll them on your work surface to smooth it out so they blend together. See? Very easy. Now I've made this Santa head with the candy cane and without. You can do it either way. Personally, I like it with the candy cane, but some people just like it plain. And then I put Santa's hand, I put his hand on, just roll a piece of clay. And if you want to do it in black to show that Santa's wearing his mitten, you can do that. And I'm going to put a little holly leaf on the candy cane. Oh, I forgot to show you to do the holly leaves. Well, pretty much the same way it was done on the candy cane. But like I said, if you don't want to add that, you don't have to. I like to add holly leaves and stars and hearts to all my ornaments. Now on this one, I'm going to make a little thin candy cane rope, and I'm going to put it at the top of the brim of his hat, kind of like a hat band. All right, I think that adds a little bit, don't you? Make sure you press it on. Now you're not going to need a lot of the green, as you can see. It's more white than green because you want to do a pastel, so you need more white. And just mix it. If you have a pasta machine, you can even mix that little teeny bit through the pasta machine. But for her here, I just mixed it with my fingers. I'm going to roll a rope. We're going to fold it over and then twist it like we do the candy cane. And we're going to do the same with some white clay and just a little bit of red. You don't want to put too much red in there. We want kind of a light pink. We don't want a hot pink. Just a little bit. There you are. You get the pink. And we're just going to put little pink berries on there. Here we are, we're putting the berries on these. I forgot to do that earlier, but here we go. Now you can do just one berry up there, or you can do 3. I'll vary it. Sometimes I do 1, sometimes I do 3. On the candy cane, I'm just going to do 1. And on this one, just put some red balls on there. You know, follow the rule, an odd number, put 3 or 5. So of course I put 4, but really an odd number would have been better. All right, now we're going to blush the cheeks. I like to put on a little bit darker blush. I don't like the real pinky pink blushes. And you apply this before baking. After baking, it's just next to impossible to put it on, and it just doesn't look as good. So make sure you apply it before baking. It just makes them look much better. I even put a little on the nose because, you know, Santa goes out in the cold weather. His nose gets a little red. Here. And you notice I kind of dip in the blush and then kind of knock the extra off. Try to do that. You don't want blush in the beard. And some people use chalk. They just scrape off the chalk into powdery substance and add that, but I'm just kind of partial to the blush. And a little thing of blush like this goes a long, long way, so it's very economical. You might even have some at home that you don't use anymore. Be perfect for the ornaments. And you can use, I like using just a little soft paintbrush to put the blush on, but you can use Q-tips, whatever you like. Now here we are doing the paper clips. Now I found some red and white paper clips. They come in a variety box of different colors, but most of the time I use just the plain paper clips. They're inexpensive and easy to use. Cut them the way I did there so there's still that little hook at the bottom. Push them in, and now you see that gap there? You want to take your knitting needle or the end of your paintbrush and just close up that gap. Many people just put in hooks that go straight down and there's no little hook on the end, and then they hang it on the tree and they'll come and see that the hook is just pulled out. If you do it this way, your hook will not pull out from the weight of the ornament, even though these ornaments are not heavy. But make sure you leave that little hook on the end. Some people use eye pins for hooks. For hangers, I just like paper clips. I just like the way they look. And these paper clips that I'm using here, that's actually a plastic coating on them. But they're a little more expensive than the plain paper clips. And like I said, the plain paper clips work great. That is what I use most of the time, are the plain ones. I just wanted to show you the options you have. I don't know what the flashing is. Something happened with my camera. I apologize for that, but it stopped. Maybe I was shaking my work table. I don't know. And there they are, baked. Now you bake your clay according to package instructions. There they are, baked and painted. Thank you.